Well, ladies and gentlemen, hello. Hello and welcome.
Hello. I met some of you in the loo, as you do. I did actually. I met
How
quite
many
some-
of them?
About 5. I was holding open the door. I was being helpful.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen?
No. No.
Good.
No, I left the men to do their thing.
Do you think that we should congratulate everybody for simply having got here
having
today?
got here. Well done.
Yeah, well done
And
you.
hands up if anyone got a line bike. You did, for the first time? Good effort, well done, and you're still alive, I'm pleased. This is good news. Did anyone walk a long distance? Very good. At least it's a nice evening. It's not pouring with rain like last night. I'm pleased about that. Did anyone take a boat? Are the boats, no, the Uber boats, are they running? Yeah. Yes, did anyone do that? Oh, gee, that's how I might get home.
Anyone come by helicopter? I've got some words to say, just by way of an official introduction. Hello and welcome to this evening's Times event. Thank you all for coming, and a special thank you to those who subscribe to the Times and the Sunday Times and who listen to Times Radio. I'm Fee Glover. I'm one half of Times Radio's afternoon show. I do the off-air podcast with Jane Garvey. Claire is actually a guest on that today. She's already been a guest on Times Radio, and we're going in for basically what will be kind of the third time this evening, and that's going to be the best interview that we do today.
I'll say things right now that I certainly didn't say on the radio earlier.
Yeah.
Or on the television this morning.
Yeah, and actually, in all seriousness, we can, can't we? Because we're just not quite so governed by time.
That is true.
And all of those things. So the
But
timing,
also, I co-presented your programme with you when Jane was away.
That's so true.
Yes.
Yep. And you
Jane
were
was thrilled with that. Fee and I get on quite well.
She was fine.
She was, you know.
Yeah. Tonight we're going to talk for about 45 minutes, and then we're going to open the floor. So any questions that you've got, don't be shy. I can honestly say I have known Claire for quite a long time, and she is one of the loveliest people in the world of show business. I mean, she really is. Oh. And whatever it is that you will ask, she will give a thoughtful answer. It won't be just an off-pat thing. So I think it would be
It's quite a big build-up now.
It's huge.
I feel concerned that I may let you down.
No, not at all. But it just won't be one of those skim-across-the-surface evenings. I can promise you that. Now, Claire has written many, many books. So you've done 5 children's books.
Yes.
You've done, is it 3 or 4 non-fiction books?
4 non-fiction.
Okay.
Yes.
I made the mistake on the afternoon programme of saying that Clare Balding had moved into adult fiction. And
Which was a surprise for everyone.
Yeah, by quite a few listeners who said, I don't think she has actually, Fee, because adult fiction is much more of the slightly kind of we'll leave it at that fiction. And what Claire has done wonderfully is moved into grown-up fiction.
Yes.
So Pastures New, which I have read, is absolutely lovely. And I think at the moment as well, you need safe books on your bedside table. You need books that don't contain the darkness of the world, that don't have a sinister twist and nasty stuff going on. There's enough nasty stuff in the world. And this is a story about warmth. It's a story about connection. It's a story about love. And Claire's going to read a little bit to get us started.
It is. And actually, I'm going to read you a bit because it really made me laugh writing. Alex is my heroine. And Alex is the key character in this. She's a woman turning 40, living in London, working for an online society magazine called Riz. I was terribly pleased with that name. And I thought if someone hasn't got it already, you know, it was word of the year before last, wasn't it, Riz? Should be an online magazine, don't you think? Anyway, but that's by the by. Her parents, though, God, I enjoyed writing this. And I couldn't give my mother a proof copy of this because I thought she might just see a little familiarity. Anyway, so I'm just going to read you a bit from the kitchen in her parents' house, and it's coming up to Christmas. Anyway, there's a bit about the fact that she's painted. There's this sort of lemon colour to the walls. The shop assistant had told her the paint would make her feel as if the sun was always shining, although that definitely wasn't true on this grim December morning. Alex's mother liked it well enough, and she couldn't see the point of change for the sake of it. After all, who really noticed interior design apart from interior designers? And they were paid to care about it. The upheaval would be a pain in the arse and would just make David even grumpier than usual. As she poured boiling water into the teapot, he was already complaining. "Honestly, I don't understand why we have to invite the Palmers for dinner. Can't it just be drinks? That way we can get rid of them by 8 o'clock latest, and I can watch the Attenborough documentary." David chided, breathing heavily through his nose and inhaling coffee through his mouth, seemingly at the same time. Isabel opened the day's Christmas cards with a knife, resisting the temptation to stab him for slurping. The noise was unbearable. There were many reasons to kill him, but she concluded a defence plea that he was breathing, my lord, and I just couldn't stand the racket anymore, was not likely to spare her jail time. Isabel had sent Jackie Lawson email cards, which were much better for the environment, and postage was just a rip-off these days. You couldn't even guarantee it would arrive in time, and she was damned if she was going to spend over £1 on a stamp and then worry about whether it would actually get there. She hand-delivered to the locals from a stash of cards she'd bought years ago in a post-Christmas sale. Anyway, this is quite funny, actually, because this is true. I have American cousins. My dad's half American. And the Americans send these Christmas emails. Oh, Jesus. The Palmers, who were coming to dinner that night, had switched to email long ago, as that way they could write their godforsaken updates on their grandchildren and send them to as many people as possible, as if people had willingly subscribed to this family newsletter. Isabel was always tempted to write a truth bomb Christmas update in return, detailing her daughter's series of failed relationships, her elder son's naked ambition, her younger son's jealousy, plus her own daily frustration with being married to a man she increasingly could barely tolerate. So it's quite fun. It is quite fun taking some elements of real people and real life and exaggerating them hugely for comic effect. I do enjoy doing that.
And also just getting some things off your chest.
Oh,
there.
God, yes.
Yeah. If any of you slurp in the audience, then you're just going to be taken out. And it's a book, I think, about affinity. Would you agree?
Oh, that's nice.
About finding something in a place that you weren't expecting, that you didn't think was your destination, but you get somewhere else in life, and a little bit of you just goes,
yeah,
I was always meant to be here.
Yeah, and I think it's also, there's that, and it's lovely that the curtains have come up as we say this, and hopefully to reveal a sunset. I do think there's a bit of epiphany in things that happen to you, as you say, when you weren't expecting them, and suddenly you realise, God, what I was doing, I actually was really unhappy with. I was doing a job. I was doing my job and I was getting paid, but it wasn't me. That's not who I am. It's not who I'm meant to be. And I think Alex, is probably trying to fit in with a certain expectation. And I think she particularly thinks her mother expects her to get married and have children and, get married to a man, have children and, that's that. Just get on and do that. And why are you still mucking about in a job that doesn't really, what are you doing? So there's her realisation of who she is through her own eyes, not through her mother's. So that's quite interesting. And I also quite like the uncomfortable nature of putting city folk in the country, and that is just as uncomfortable as putting country folk in London. Although we had my launch party last night, and I spent quite a lot of time in Monmouthshire, which is where this book is set mainly. And Colin and Tracy, who are sheep farmers, who'd given me loads of really good information and advice and read an early copy of the sections that were relevant and given some feedback as to what was or wasn't correct. They came up from Monmouthshire with my friend Sue, who the book is dedicated to. They're having a rip-roaring time. They haven't noticed the tube strike. They don't care. They're just like, this is brilliant. They're staying up for 2 nights and they're, going to discover the sort of more local to Chiswick, because that's where they're staying. But, go and walk in Richmond Park, go to Kew, that kind of thing that they can still get to.
Well, they've probably got the right spirit to tackle a tube strike. We're locked into our kind of city ways and expectations, aren't we? And how long had the idea kind of bubbled inside you for?
Gosh, in terms of writing a novel, and I'm not sure I ever thought this was the storyline necessarily, I hadn't decided that, but I read, English was the only thing I was ever any good at school. I really was really crap at everything else. But English I loved. I had a fantastic English teacher, and it was her first job. She'd come out from, she'd basically just left university. She'd studied English at Oxford. She was super bright, not a lot older than us in the sixth form. comes in with these new ideas, real energy, just brilliant. And so I wanted to impress her, so I was writing, I really focused on my English and did pretty well, and then went to university and read English at university and thought, I want to write books. And because publishing is a very female-friendly world, there were lots of female authors one could look at and go, well, like that. That's what I want to do. Sports broadcasting was not a female-friendly world. There were none I could look at and go, that's what... So it never occurred to me to go into radio or television to do what I do now. Just that sort of happened partly by accident and partly because I said yes. And I was too young and naive to be as scared as I should have been and just went ahead and did it, But the writing I was always scared of because I was worried it wouldn't be good enough. And I just thought, I'm reading all this great literature and what if I'm not Jane Austen, funnily enough. But, what if I can't do that, or I can't be Charlotte Bronte, or I can't, what then? Then you fail, or you don't fail. You write what you write, and you write in your voice. And then finally when I wrote My Animals and Other Family, which was my first book, and I was 40 when I wrote that, I was staggered by how well that... I honestly didn't think a single person would be interested in my slightly feral upbringing and, the benevolent neglect of my parents and, a world full of...
And the Queen Mother's horse in your kitchen.
Yeah, that kind of thing, yeah. Shetland pony in the kitchen, exactly, who had been a gift from the Queen. Who would be interested in any of that? And they were, and that was funny. And that was fun to write. So there's a lot of that voice in this. And I do enjoy it, but with fiction, obviously, you can go even further.
Yeah. So they say write about what you know.
Yes.
Have you ever looked through your pile of mail and opened a letter to find that somebody has gifted you a farm?
No.
Which is the plot of the book.
It is the plot of the book. No. And she does think she thinks it's a scam. I mean, you would, wouldn't you? So she checks with her brother, who's a lawyer. And he says, no, that's all, I think that's all correct. You better go and see it. But I haven't ever done that. But I did get, so there are a lot of dogs and horses in this. There's a Welsh Terrier. And in the edition you're going to get, all of you get the collector's edition, which that's what's on the heart. It's rather lovely. So the stencil of the Welsh Terrier. Anyway, the president of the Welsh Terrier Association got in touch with me because they'd heard there was a Welsh Terrier in this. And in the flap, it had said, now her closest companion is a grumpy Welsh Terrier, originally said in the flap. The president of the Welsh Terrier Association says to me, no, Welsh Terriers are many things, but they are not grumpy. And I was like, oh God, they'd all ordered it. And I was like, I can't offend the Welsh Terrier Association. So I said, no, fair point. So I went back to Lynn and said, we need to redo the inside flap. It needs to say, I've put stubborn, and that's fair enough. He's grieving. He's a dog that's grieving, so he is sort of sad, but not grumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's very key. Jiffy's very key to the story.
So take us to Monmouthshire and your experience of it.
Yes.
And how you then put that down on the page, because there are passages which are definitely odes to that kind of bucolic scenery, the way of life, and yet you do, as you've said, live in Chiswick.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do live in Chiswick, yes. But my friend Sue, and as I say, the book's dedicated to her, she lives in this beautiful farmhouse that isn't crumbling at all, down the end of a pothole drive, and that is based on a picture of her house, the front cover is. But if I read you something for the acknowledgements, which you won't have seen because you've got a proof copy and they're not in there.
I've got a different one.
I know.
Apparently the ending's a little bit different.
Is it? I improved the ending, yes I did. Anyway, this from the acknowledgements. Every time I sat at my desk and started typing, I was transported to Monmouthshire, and I could see, hear and feel the farm and those within it. That's because it's based on a real place and real people. One of my dearest friends, Sue, to whom the book is dedicated, lives in a beautiful farmhouse at the end of a pothole drive with a wood to the right, a waterlogged field to the left, and the hills all around. I could see it all, and having been there to stay with her and her husband, Ed, who died 2 years ago, who was a beautiful and talented writer as well as a solidly magnificent man, on many an occasion, I knew I wanted to write about the place and the people. Sue has been unfailingly supportive and introduced me to her friends, Colin and Tracy Evans, who have a sheep farm down the road. And then I talk about how generous they were with that knowledge. But I said it wasn't just their knowledge I wanted to capture. It was the way they have wrapped Sue up in a bundle of love, food and family when she needed it most. I have witnessed and have tried to represent what rural friendship is all about, whether providing food, rounding up stray sheep or mending a fence. The best neighbours help out without even being asked. So that's what I wanted to try and capture in here. So it is a love letter to those, not just in Monmouthshire, but I think in lots of different places. It's a love letter to friendship and what that means. And when people know that you just need practical help. And if you want to talk about things, you can talk about things, but basically you need someone to help you. And that's what I wanted to try.
Yeah. And Sue's story is quite, I mean, it's very sad, isn't it? Do you want to just tell, because the book's dedicated to her.
So Sue was married to Eddie Butler, the rugby commentator, and he died very suddenly in Machu Picchu, the same week as the Queen's funeral. So we're coming up to an anniversary. We're coming up to the anniversary. Anyway, it was a massive shock and a huge loss. But watching what people do and how they do it with Sue, and funnily enough, I took her when we went to the printing press, and I signed 2,000 copies. I took one away, and I was meeting Sue that afternoon, and we were sitting in a pub in London, and I said, I need to give you the first copy. This has come straight off the press. I said, because you probably want to have a look at the beginning. And she could see, and she just went, so it says for Sue and in memory of Ed. And she just went, I didn't know you were doing this. And I said, no, I needed to check with you. Is it all right? Thinking, I hope it's all right, because we had basically printed it. And she started crying, and she said, you know, that is so lovely. She said, all the books Ed wrote, he never once dedicated one to me. So I was pleased that she was pleased. But it is that when you're, you write, you create what we do. You create what you create, but who are you doing it for? And yes, I want HarperCollins to be happy. I want you to be happy. You're buying it, but actually, I needed Alice to like it, and I needed to give this to Sue and say, this is the best I can do with your landscape, that farmland, those friends, this. We walked up the Skirrid together, and there's a scene in here where Alex walks up the Skirrid with Ethan, and they have a big heart-to-heart at the top of this hill. And the racehorse is called the Skirrid as well in it. Anyway. Sue and I walked up the Skirrid, and she goes up there plenty, and she was telling me about the other week she'd gone up, and she went up really early in the morning. She said, and anyone who's lost someone will understand this. She said, some mornings you wake up and you just think, okay, what's the point? And she said, so I have to get up and go, and I have to go for a run, or I have to go up a hill. I have to get to a view. So she was up there, and she walked back down with this guy, and they started chatting. And then they stood in the car park, and they talked for 45 minutes. She said it was really clear he'd also lost somebody. And at the end of it, they said, well, it's nice to chat. He said, yeah, and that's all I want now. He said, I met the love of my life. And she said, yeah, I did too. And he said, I won't love again like that, but I just like these chats, and it's been nice to chat to you. So, might see you at the top again soon. And it's just, that is, oh gosh. I mean, you understand. If anyone has had that wrench, you absolutely understand. But I am so touched by what that place means. And she doesn't want to leave the house, because that's where Ed still is.
Sure, yeah. With all of that beauty.
Yeah, and it is beautiful.
That she can find
It's such a lovely place. I always say, so that's why. And that's where I would go. If anything awful happened, well, I shouldn't tell you that, because actually, if I was running from the press, that's where I'd go. So that's blown that one. Yeah. But anyway, no, if anything awful happened to me... I'm
writing that one down.
That is where I would run to.
What we're going to try and do is not give away too much of the plot of the book, because obviously you're going to take this away with you, and we don't want to spoil your reading of it. But we will talk about the themes in the book, and one of the really strong themes is the reality of farming.
Oh yeah.
So
it's hard. It's really hard.
Behind the image of it, or behind the headlines of it. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, apart from the fact that animals are dying all the time when you don't want them to. Okay, yes, if you're a sheep farmer, you are breeding lambs to basically then kill them, but you don't want them dying by accident, and that's always happening. Foxes will, rip a lamb to shreds and sometimes attack a ewe while she's giving birth, or, it's brutal. And the money is you are so lucky if you even cover your costs. And I looked up, I did a bit of research into farm earnings and did a bit of a deep dive into HMRC. If they make £10,000 a year, that would be average. Most small farms, it's on average about £10,500 a year profit. That's not a lot. And the cost of machinery, but the cost of mending everything, of keeping fields, in good shape so that they can be proper pasture. It's tough, and it's early mornings, and it's late nights, and it's endless. And the to-do list, which is why there's a to-do list on the back. The to-do list on a farm is never ending. It's just you're constantly firefighting. But there is a real beauty to it. And I wanted to show appreciation, I think, for farmers and for those that, we all benefit from British farming. And I think we don't often think about it or say thank you. And so I wanted to do that. And also to sort of show, and I think, do I mention Clarkson's Farm? I might do in this. But essentially, it's Clarkson's Farm is great. It's a great programme, and I think he shows the bureaucracy of it. But most farmers can't just go and get a Lamborghini tractor. Of course they bloody can't, He's coming into it with millions and making a TV programme about it, so paying for quite a lot of it. It's not a bad business model. He's doing super smart, but that's not real.
Yeah. And actually, when a shot pans across actually where he lives, or at least where his office is, with the beautifully manicured kitchen garden and the flowering lavender.
Oh, and the bifold doors and it's fabulous, but it's...
And the farmhouse that you write about in the book is so different to that.
Yeah, there's bits of newspaper in the windows to stop the draft coming in, and everything needs repainting, and only one room in the house is warm. And I have been in places like that. Colin and Tracy's house is not like that, but I have been in houses like that where everyone's living in the kitchen because it's the only room they've got an Aga, and it's literally the only room that's warm, and the heating's off everywhere else because they can't afford it.
So in terms of writing characters, do you think that you have to have a kind of firmer Chinese wall than other writers might have to do because we know you as something else? You're in our living rooms as Clare Balding, sports presenter. We might think that we know some things about your life outside of work. You've kind of been with us for years. And I wonder whether that means that you're constantly aware that you don't want to write too much, that people will immediately go, that's her life. That's what she actually is.
Yes, well, I definitely don't want my mother to think that.
Yes, I'm a bit worried about you.
I am too. Now. I know. I deliberately haven't mentioned any of that in any of the other press, but I don't think she's...
Okay, don't tell anybody else.
No, please don't tell anyone. No, I think, you also, for your own mental kind of satisfaction, you want to create an imaginary world. You want to create characters that are themselves. They're not me. Alex isn't me, and she's not Alice either, but there are bits of us in her. There's definitely, she's as tongue-tied in certain situations as I can be. Like in romantic situations, I'm absolutely bloody hopeless. And I wanted to write about falling in love because I thought I can do that. I can write that. I've experienced that. But you don't have to experience things always to be able to write them. I'm not a sheep farmer, so of course I've had to.
Do you feel a kind of pressure of expectation? Because you have been unbelievably successful in life, in your career. Oh, come on.
Oh, thank you.
Come on.
No, that's very sweet.
I think you're one of those people we could just say Balding and everyone knows. You don't need, you don't need both names.
I feel the pressure on myself because of that. Genuinely, you are still that kid in the classroom trying to impress your English teacher. That's always, and if she thinks it's any good, she will tell me.
So who was your first reader on this?
Alice.
Okay.
Yeah, and she wasn't impressed. So she said, "You can do much better than this. You've just been flippant there. Just go away into it." So but she was right. I was doing a lot of displacement activity, which you do if you write. You suddenly realise you've got to tidy the desk.
The skirting boards are clean
exactly.
in every writer's house. Yeah.
A million other jobs before you actually sit down and write. And then I was struggling a bit with Alex, and I wasn't sure I got her really. I couldn't hear her voice. And so then I went off walking and had a bit of a light bulb moment, and then thought, I know what I'm going to do. And then suddenly she was there, and I had her. And there's a very cool character called Magic Mandy, who I love. She's one of those that can just wear her collar up and it looks okay, whereas I wear my collar up and I look like a tit. But she just can. Magic Mandy's just like, she's got it, and she can do magic tricks. And people who can do magic tricks, my nephew can do magic tricks.
Oh, it's so impressive.
It's such an impressive skill. Nick Mohammed can do magic tricks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
Can you do any magic tricks at all?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No,
right.
Really can't.
Okay. I didn't think the collar up looked that bad, actually. If I can be honest.
That's very kind
I
of
thought
you.
it looked
Thank
all
you.
right.
Thanks.
I'm going to wear mine up for the rest
just
of
do that.
See,
you can do it.
If you've got a collar.
But she can rock a boiler.
If you've got a collar, put it up.
Put it up. You can do it, Liz. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, I like that.
I think it's all right.
But it's like some of us just can't. No, that's good. That's good. I know, I paused there. I shouldn't have done it. So, yeah. It does look good.
And do you find the kind of the introspection of a writer's life a little bit difficult? Because you do have to spend a lot of time on your own, just
and you have to make yourself do it. I mean, like that's 90,000 words, and I delivered 100,000 actually. And then we cut some of them. Anyway, quite rightly. But it's making yourself concentrate. So actually, there are two things. You want to write a story that you lots of people can come up with a really good idea, and you can start to write characters, and lots of people can write short stories. I think nearly everyone can write a short story. And every book I'd written to this point had been, like My Animals and Other Families, actually a series of short stories. They're all centred on an animal. So I had a structure, I got it, I could come to it, I could write that chapter, I could go away, and it didn't matter. I didn't need to know what was in chapter 1 to be able to write chapter 2. With this, it had to be a flow. I had to remember what had happened, and I had to sort of follow a plan. So I had a plot outline. I didn't really stick to it. I had character outlines. Again, I changed some of those, and then I have to write myself notes to make sure I realise I've changed it. Oh, yeah, it's exhausting. I mean, my God.
Well, it all makes sense.
But that's what I am proud of, that I did it. I finished it. I actually delivered it. It is here, and I am proud of it. And yes, I'm sure I could write. Thank you. We're already talking about the next book, so that's exciting. So I can't, they must be pleased enough.
Also, I think there is a terrible assumption, and I don't know whether you'd agree with this at the moment, that you can't necessarily assume that a well-known person who's come from one walk of life into the world of literature has actually written a book themselves, because we know that AI is being used, we know that ghostwriters are being used.
And you said on the radio today you wish they'd come with a sticker saying authentic. Like you knew that that's genuinely my work, and it is, and I know it is.
And there are too many people.
But Lynn knew it as well. So Lynn, who's my editor, who's here somewhere, wave Lynn, where are you? At the back, she's at the back. She said straight away, she said, look, I know, because I've read My Animals and Other Families, she said, I know you can write fiction. I know you can. And you just need to get on and do it. And then she cracked a whip a lot. I mean, not literally, she didn't stand over with the hunting crop, but, nearly.
But it's a weird position to be in, isn't it? Where you do actually have to say,
I wrote exactly. I know that is a weird position, because nobody ever. When My Animals and Other Family came out, nobody said to me, "Did you actually write this?" It wasn't a suspicion in 2012. Now it really is. People really. And Lynn kept saying, "We need to keep telling people you've written it, and make sure you are planted in that literary world." And I'm like, "Well, of course I've written it. I've told them I've written it." She went, "No, they won't believe you. You've got to."
Well, I've definitely interviewed far too many authors who not only haven't written their book, they
haven't read it. Yeah. I know. That is.
And it's a nightmare, Claire. It's an absolute nightmare.
I know. And they say when this happens, and they go, "What?"
Yes.
Yeah. Does it? But I read it for the audiobook as well. I read it myself. And so I do voices and things, and I quite enjoy that. It's the wannabe actress in me Gwen has a cracking Welsh accent.
Can we have a little bit of voicing?
A little bit of, well, there's a little bit of, Gwen's the only one that actually has a Welsh accent, because we had this discussion, and Fionnuala, who might be here, was helping with the audiobook, and she said, look, I don't think you should do any accents because it would just sound dreadful. And she didn't actually say that, but that's how I interpreted it. And I thought, when I got to Gwen, who is the most, because there is an accent in Monmouthshire. Funnily enough, the accent is, it's not quite Welsh. It's because they're in the Marches. They're right on the borderlands, and they sound quite West Country rather than Welsh. But I thought, I can't start giving West Country. I can do West Country, but I thought I can't do that because it sounds like I've got it wrong. So I just left most of them fairly neutral until it got to Gwen. And it's particularly satisfying. And there's a point at which she gets very angry, has a row with somebody and says, you can fuck right off. And I just love that. It just sounds really good with a Welsh accent.
Well, that sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
You have alluded to the fact that this might not just be a standalone novel.
No, well, it kind
might
of
go on into
because there's so much that still could happen. I mean, it is.
And is that exciting to think about? Are you playing with that in your head all the time?
Yes, I am. And I think also because those that have read it, and a lot of the reviews are going, I can't wait to know what happens next. So that's great, because you're thinking, oh, hello, you're actually invested, you like these people. So that is exciting, and there are.
Yeah. And what about the TV adaptation?
Well, on Monday night, so I went and did the One show on Monday night, and Susan Sarandon was on, and Andrea Riseborough, because they're doing a show together at the Old Vic. And I started talking about the book, and I said, and Andrea said, could it make a TV? I went, yeah, I could make a film. I said, actually, you'd be a really brilliant Alex, or actually, maybe you'd be Magic Magic. And Susan immediately goes, is there a role for me? And I thought, I can't really ask her if she can do a Welsh accent. Could she be Gwen?
Imagine if you had said no.
No, not really, Susan. But she could, she could be Isabel. She could. Yeah. Wouldn't that be exciting? But yes, I think it does have the potential to be on screen. Who knows? But I kind of don't want them to do that. We like reading, right? That's why you're here. And there are very few films or series that are as good as the book. I mean, like that series of One Day, the recent series is much, much better than the film was. But One Day was one of my... And I love David Nichols, and I love the way he writes, but that film, the first film, bloody hell.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And
from David Nichols, who else do you like? What do you
Leanne Moriarty, absolutely adore. So Apples Never Fall, Big Little Lies. I just think she, again, it's the way... What's the one on the plane? The most recent one was... it's set on a plane, and basically, every character gets a storyline. It's quite busy as a book. It's just so clever, though. Love reading her. I am reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo at the moment, which is, yes. I loved Lessons in Chemistry. Bonnie Garmus read this and said something really nice. And I don't think it's on. It'll be on a cover of a later edition, I guess. But said it was the perfect book to curl up and read in front of a roaring fire.
Well, what an upgrade!
Like, how nice is that from Bonnie Garmus? Bonnie Garmus came to the boat race because I present the boat race, and obviously Lessons in Chemistry, rowing is quite a big thing in it, and Bonnie rows, and so she came to the boat race. And I was saying to her what I thought she did so well. I think Elizabeth Zott is just a fabulous character. But I said she represented that battle between presenter and director/producer really, really cleverly, really well. And I said to her, do you want to listen to talkback? I said, because you can stand over there and put my talkback in while I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think it was the first time she realised that we don't, on live sport, it's different for highlight shows, but live sport, we don't have autocue, because how could you? Everything's changing. You can't script it. So I'm working, free range, and she's listening to the talkback. We also work on open talkback. So I'm hearing all the camera directions, which I don't need to know, but I'm hearing the director checking whether, Matt Pinsent's microphone is working on the boat out in the middle of the river, and checking that the reporter knows we're coming to them next. While I'm interviewing something, all this is going on in my ear. So she listened to it for about 15 minutes, and once the race started, I said, was that interesting? She said, I had no idea. I said, well, write about it, because that's how it is. That's real life for I mean, loads of people don't really understand, because radio's lovely because you don't get a load of, if you've got good program producers, they don't talk to you when you're in the middle of an interview. But if you can imagine, someone's talking on telly, talking to Fee right now, so loudly that she actually can't hear what I've just said. So I suddenly finish and say, what do you think? And you're going, I didn't hear you. I don't know. What do I think? Oh, God, what she just said. So it is hard to follow both things, and you have to learn to listen to three things at the same time.
How do you learn that? So, I mean, the first day on the job when you're on camera for a live event, presumably you haven't really had huge experience of all of that going on.
No, and actually, I don't know how, I think because I did some reporting first, so I was listening to talkback and I was watching other people handle it and talk to time. So you get countdowns in your ear as well if you're talking to, if you're on commercial TV and you're talking to an ad break, or if you're talking to a junction or the beginning of a match or whatever it is, you're getting a count. And I get very good at talking to time. It's one of the things I pride myself. I hit 0. I'm so excited. And because you're making it up as you go along, it's just knowing exactly how. So if you literally gave me a countdown now, I know I could hit 0 at exactly the right time.
Oh, I'd be
at the
absolutely
end of a
livid if I
sentence.
couldn't hit 0 as well.
Yes, you know what I mean.
But do you
exactly.
find normal conversation a bit dull?
I do tend to listen to more than one thing. Like if there's a dinner party and there's 2 or 3 conversations, I am listening to all of them. I know. And the other really good thing is it gives me permission to interview people, because that's what I do a lot of. You can then start interviewing people, and it's amazing what they'll tell you.
Yeah,
it's great.
That's true. And people always do want to talk about themselves, don't they? Which is great, because otherwise, I mean, we'll be out of jobs completely.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got 8 minutes and 24 seconds left, just to be precise about it. We'll open the floor. You can ask Claire about other things as well as the writing. Well, actually, we do need to talk about your love of dogs, because you have entered the world of business, haven't you?
Oh, I have, yes. Yeah. Very excitingly, got approached by a company who make a lot of cosmetic products for humans, but also for animals, as in shampoos, conditioners and all that. And they wanted to do a joint venture. So I was like, this is exciting. I've never been in business. And somebody said, a friend of my mother said retail. Anyway, never been in retail or business. I thought this is, I'll learn something here. This is great. And so we started having meetings and talking about dog shampoos and various products and designs and names. And I said, I've got an idea for a name. And a bit like with racehorses' names, where you have to check whether it's already taken, same thing for company names. So they said, what do you want to call it? And I said, I want to call it Unconditional Love. And they went, oh my God, let's just see, is that taken? Anyway, wasn't taken. It is now. So Unconditional Love will be coming in a range of dog shampoos and various sort of cool products for dogs, all hypoallergenic, lovely drawings on it. Nice colours too. Sort of teal and white, classy colours, nice. And I've done bottle testing and bottle shapes and caps and, just so that you can do it with one hand, because you can't shampoo. You don't want a screw top on a dog shampoo because you're holding the dog and you want to just... Okay. Can
I just say that...
So exciting.
I've had dogs my whole life.
Yeah.
I've never washed them.
Yes,
I've literally never washed a dog.
No, but that's because it's the sort of dog you have, you probably don't.
Should I wash Nancy?
Well, if she rolls in something, you would, wouldn't you? I think you would. Well, I won't necessarily be sending you then a gift pack of shampoos. You might want the spray.
Yes, I definitely. Oh my God, I definitely need the spray. Nancy's a greyhound, so actually she's such.
There's lovely calming smells and things.
Yeah, her
we can spray instead of
so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
We had a very brief chat on the podcast and the live show today about tennis, and I think it is just worth indulging in a tiny conversation about tennis, because we are in a golden age of tennis.
Oh my gosh,
aren't we?
Having just been in a golden age as well. I mean, just the wonderful segue from one era into another. And actually, because of when Sue decided that, she'd rather go and watch the tennis than deal with all the talkback and present it, it was the end of Federer and Nadal's careers, and Djokovic obviously still going, but it seemed the end of that era. How lucky was I that literally the next year, Alcaraz and Sinner pop up, and Alcaraz won the first Wimbledon, first 2 Wimbledons that I presented. And then Sinner he's very impressive, and I love the fact there's that real contrast in character. He is very much the Bjorn Borg kind of calm figure, Whereas Carlos is like full of energy and just that vibrancy, that joy in being able to play shots and then go, wow, look at that. I love it. It's so theatrical. And it's just, I can't wait. Yeah, really, I just think we are in for a treat over these and we have been this year with the two of them. What a rivalry, and that's terrific.
And do you think that something might have to change about how we watch tennis? Because there have been a couple of on-court difficulties. I mean, there was the photographer who walked on court at the US Open in Medvedev's match, and then Emma Raducanu had to have somebody taken out of one of her games in Dubai. And actually, there has been quite a lot of conversation, and I suppose we haven't really realised it because we've been spoilt by a lack of incident.
Well, since obviously Monica Seles, which was an awful thing.
But we are so close to the players in those Grand Slams.
And my God, the intensity of it as well. I mean, I played in the Wentworth Pro-Am golf yesterday morning because I didn't have enough going on this week. So I was playing with Michael McIntyre and Alex Horn and Adam Scott. I mean, Adam Scott's the loveliest man in the world, but I promise you, hitting a ball that is not even moving in front of a load of people thinking, geez, I might hit this right and kill them. But, you know, the pressure of being watched doing something physical they are amazingly good at coping with that, because I think most of us would be frozen by sort of just self-awareness and that. I have so much admiration for professional sportsmen and women because they handle that brilliantly. They can perform. It's not just under pressure, it's under scrutiny. They can perform. And I know from when I do things that are physical, I make bad decisions if I'm tired or if I'm physically out of breath, I make bad decisions. And they're still making the right decisions, even though, you know, they're playing the right shot at the right time at the end of a long rally. So I'm so impressed with that. But dealing with the heckling, which is constant, particularly at the US Open where it's very, very noisy, but almost as well dealing with the silence at Wimbledon. And you could see with Anisimova in the final against Swiatek this year, walking out into a sort of the stillness of centre was more, and she's talked about, because obviously she's had the contrast now and then making the US Open final, that they're both hard, but almost that stillness is harder. That everything at Wimbledon is so pristine, and you know that there's the history and the tradition, and it's very difficult to let your brain, you know, compartmentalise that and still play your best tennis. But yes, 0.
We're on 0. Beautiful to time. Ending. So we have got about 30 minutes. We will also be able to have books signed by Clare afterwards, and the bar stays open. The view is still delightful, but it's an open floor for questions. We've got a roving microphone as well.
I always think it's very impressive. You put your hand up straight away. I'm like, yes, I like that, but we'll wait for the microphone.
We'll wait for the microphone.
Running up to the front.
Lady down here in the
Coming
front.
down the centre. And Michael McIntyre got me commentating on him while he played a golf shot yesterday. And then he absolutely stuffed it up, but it was very funny.
I read
Go on.
somewhere that the first sentence of a novel
Yes.
is really difficult. So.
Oh, well, funny enough, I got the first sentence of the next one already. But only because. So
How quickly did the first one come to you?
I think we changed it. I think we took the whole first chapter out that I'd originally written, actually. So the first sentence of this book is descriptive, which I'd started with speech, and in a different setting. So. But the next one, okay. So I was playing golf the other day. We have a great range of ages and experience and different women in our golf club. And Jackie Richards is one of my favourite people. She's about 80 something. And she comes out and plays 9 holes with us on a Thursday, and we're playing 18, but she'll join us for 9. So I said, "Oh, Jackie, come in our group. We'll scoot you up and come with us." And so we're walking along, and she goes, "Now, Claire, I've ordered your book." And I said, "Oh, right." And she said, "And if I think it's any good, I'm going to recommend it to our book club, but only if I think it's good." And I went, "Great, thanks, Jackie, the pressure." And then when we were having a drink after, sitting around, I said, "Jackie, I've got it. You are going to be the central character of my next book, which will start Jackie believed in telling people things straight. What was the point in beating around the bush? Her daughter said she lacked a filter, whatever a filter was meant to be. And I said, and that's how the next book will start. And Jackie Richards, Truth Bomb, you know? So...
Well, I do hope she does choose it for book club.
So do
yes. Yeah, gosh.
But she might not. She was funny about one at the show. She said, I liked your first couple of books. Then you did that one about heroic animals. I mean, we could have lived without that, she said. I went, well, thanks.
I rather enjoyed heroic animals.
Yes, I know. There's some good stuff in there.
Questions. Thank you for starting us off. Right, shall we let's go to the gentleman at the back. Well, halfway down, yes.
With the pink wristband. Has everyone got a pink wristband? Oh, right, that doesn't, sorry.
Yep.
I suddenly thought that's a stupid thing to say.
Collar up, sir, collar up.
I have a 3-year-old daughter,
Oh.
and so she's very keen in sport. So I'd like to know, how can I encourage her to be interested in sport and to be good at school and to be good at everything?
Okay. This actually, Emma Raducanu was good at everything. Emma Raducanu was proper academic as well, and was doing her A-levels the first time she played Wimbledon and got to the 4th round. I think that we have, honestly, I am so excited for your daughter that she is 3 years old and she is going to be able to enter a world in which so many sports are available to her, and that at primary school she's going to get access to football and cricket and all the sports that just were considered a male-only domain. And I'm excited that I think there is more of a realisation now that there are loads of careers associated with sport that don't just involve what you do on the field of play. So whether she wants to be a physio or the business of sport is huge, or an agent for athletes, or whether she wants to, be actually a referee or a, line judge or a commentator or a presenter, whatever. All of those avenues are open. So this era of women's sport, and actually credit to the BBC and to the Times, the Sunday Times in particular, have done Sportswoman of the Year for years and years and years, long before it was trendy to be into women's sport, and the BBC as well. But this culmination of this summer, and the whole names will be made, and the summer of women's sport, I think has been such a big success, and the Rugby World Cup now getting record viewing figures and attendances, and people really enjoying it and understanding that it is not the same as men's rugby union. In the same way, women's football is not the same as men's football. It's different, and in some ways, the atmosphere is much better, particularly with football. So I also think that a lot of the female, a lot of the footballers in particular, but the rugby players as well, they are really rounded. So you take someone like Leah Williamson, who I think is brilliant on social media. When she was out injured, she decided to learn to play the piano and posted, really cool videos of her playing the piano. She's redefining what success looks like. Like, success for her isn't a fast car and a big house. It's learning a skill. It's learning a language or learning to play an instrument. And those are things I think that are really valuable for your daughter. And also the understanding that being good at sport doesn't mean you are, that in my era, I think people thought you were either sporty or you were academic. You couldn't possibly be both. I think now there's an understanding that definitely exercise helps your brain and helps you concentrate, and all the skills that you learn, and, focus being a pretty big one of them. So yeah, good luck. What's your daughter called? Maggie. Well, I'm going to look out for Maggie. Like Maggie, right? And Maggie's going to be a star in about 20 years' time. You're going to see Maggie.
Would you have played football and cricket if it was available?
I mean, for Flora, my niece, who is 14 now, professional cricket is a real option, and that's exciting. That there's a living to be made from it. All my mates who are hockey players and play golf now, they say they would have played football. That's the thing that they wish they had the chance to do. Because in the other sports, it's great. I mean, they were good hockey players and they're good golfers. They never made any money out of sport. They're PE teachers, and that was, loads of PE teachers were good, really good athletes who couldn't make a living in sport. So they became PE teachers and really good at it. But it's just great that Maggie's going to have those choices. It's fabulous. If she's interested, if she wants to. And even if she doesn't go into it professionally, to be good at a certain sport can, again, give you a life in coaching or, or teaching, whatever. I mean, it's...
And team sport's just a lovely way to spend your childhood.
Yeah, loads of choices.
Right, hands up again. Thank you for that, sir. Let's go. I'm going to tell people where we're going. We're going to go to the lady in the green at the front, then we're going to go to the gentleman with the hand up there, and then we will go to the lady with the pink. So we're staying on this side, but I've noted that you're there, sir, and we'll come to you afterwards.
Okay.
I was just going to say, we haven't mentioned the other books, and you're obviously brilliant in whatever books you're writing, but the ones you did with the racehorse that wouldn't gallop and the racehorse that disappeared, incredible with my daughter, and we adore horses, but we haven't had the opportunity to have them. Snuggled up in bed reading those. I mean, I would have read them on my own, but it was good to have an excuse of a tiny one to read them with. Absolutely incredible and really lovely. But I do wonder, obviously, you're a broadcaster, you're writing books. I have never seen anybody with so much drive and so busy. If this path wasn't taken, what would you be doing?
Well, there is the bit of me that is in Alex is when she says if she could imagine a life as a dog walker, because that's exactly what I'd do. I'd walk other people's dogs for them. And I'd be very happy doing that. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't think you'd give them back at the end of the day.
No, I wouldn't give them back. But I still might do that,
Yeah.
I could be very happy in later life, being a dog walker.
But do you struggle with not having the next project? No. I have to be busy. I like to be busy, and I like my brain needs lots of different stimulation. So there's sort of, I don't have the safety of a staff job. I don't have a regular program. I don't have that, knowing I'd get paid tomorrow if I was ill. I won't get paid tomorrow if I'm ill, and I won't get, if I go on holiday, I'm not going to get paid. I don't have a safe job. But the excitement of what I do every week is so great that I'm like, well, this suits me. I was terrified when the BBC sort of stopped staff contracts and made everyone go freelance. I was really scared because I thought no one's ever going to want to. What do I do now? No one's going to employ me. And luckily that wasn't true, and I got to do so many different things. And working with different broadcasters is interesting, and with different production companies, and it's all the same thing though. Funny enough, it's all connected. It's all storytelling. What I do is storytelling. What I do is try and make you interested in characters that are in a swimming pool or characters that are cycling around a velodrome, and build up to a result that I can't foretell, but I can react to. So that it kind of all works. For me, in my head, I can make sense of it. But yeah, I think I'd have done something with dogs. That's what I'd have done. Or maybe, and probably horses, actually. I don't think maybe this is my dream. Maybe I would have been a farmer. Have you thought of alpacas?
Have actually, yes.
Bad-tempered, but lovely, I think, if you can be both those things. I think comedically bad-tempered.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll just throw that into the mix.
Oh, that's nice.
There was a gentleman, we were going to go there, yes, and then we're going to come to the lady
That's a very smart tank top. What's that logo on your tank top?
It's from the Queen's Club.
Oh.
Which is
from
why
the
I wanted
tennis.
to ask
There
a
we
question.
go. Oh.
I noticed you comment on tennis. Do you actually play tennis?
I did play tennis.
I only ask that because most of the tennis commentators are ex-tennis players.
Yes,
and
although
I admire you for being a tennis commentator. I didn't know that you were a tennis player.
No, not to any great level is the answer. It's a bit like when I say I don't really speak Italian. I don't speak Italian at all. Did I play tennis? No, I played at school, and I can hit a ball. But funnily enough, one of the greatest compliments I ever got paid was by Jeff Taranga when I was working on radio at Wimbledon, and I used to actually commentate on it. Now I present it, and do the interviews, obviously, but I used to commentate on it. And Jeff Taranga said to me, after about 4 years of working on the radio together, he said, "Do you ever play Miami?" And I went, "No, of course I didn't play Miami." He went, "But you were a player, right?" And I went, "No, I wasn't a player." "Oh, I just always figured you were a player." I was like, "Oh, very nice." I obviously, talked a good game. So no, I don't, but you obviously are a player. He's a member of the Queen's Club.
Yes.
Yes, I know, exactly.
No, they're all quality people, darling.
Quality,
If they're in the
I know.
Times building, they're quality people.
Yes, I know.
There's a lady
Very
just on the row behind.
Yes, in the grey
yes,
shirt.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely
yes.
you. Yeah. Microphone's coming.
I loved my animals,
thank you.
and I really love the ramblings.
Oh, I love doing ramblings.
That just sort of takes you completely into the world. I love it when I'm listening to that. But I wanted to know what lovely animals you have in your life now.
We have 2 cats called Button and Eric. We haven't yet filled the big dog-shaped hole in our lives, but there are plans afoot, don't worry, and that will be happening next year, I think. But essentially, Eric's sort of scared of everything. I mean, yeah, he hides a lot, and I don't want him to completely freak out, so we've got to do all this gently. But they particularly like when I'm writing. Button's a pain in the arse. She walks all over the keyboard and just like constantly bothers me when I'm writing. It's like, it's because her treats are in the drawer, which is a stupid thing
What
to do.
colours are they?
They're British blues, so they're sort of silvery grey. They're very beautiful and quite funny. It's quite funny. When they're in your life, exactly. And it's...
We had a very irritating cat for 20 years, and we just lost...
Hang on, get the microphone, because they need to hear this, and I might have to write about
We
your
had
irritating cat.
an irritating cat
Yes.
for 20 years, and she was quite demanding and needy.
And
but she went last year, and now, as you say, there's a big cat hole, and we still go in and say, Jessie, Jessie, and it's really weird.
But and it is awful. I remember when Archie died, coming down to the... I mean, he used to sleep upstairs on the bed, which of course he shouldn't, but, spoiled. And, you and I have talked about the grief of, losing an animal. And it is just that awful. You look around the kitchen, you go, but they were just there. And you go out for a walk, and the first time you go out for a walk without your dog, like, what the hell? So I stop and I talk to everyone else's dogs, which again is something Alex does in the book. And we had the first event we did to launch this book on Monday morning, which I was terribly pleased with because I suggested it to Liz, who's the head of PR at HarperCollins. And I said, why don't we do, instead of just sitting in a bookshop, why don't we do like a dog walk? And she, because she's brilliant, said, yeah, we'll see if we can make that happen. So we set this up at Wimbledon Common, and there's this brilliant woman there called Amy who runs Cart on the Common, which is a coffee cart, and she told all her customers. So what we thought, I was like, oh God, if 10 people come, that would be great. 50 people came. And we had this really lovely walk with all of these different dogs across the Common to the bookshop in Wimbledon. I mean, it was so gorgeous. And then you can talk to everyone and you're talking to their dogs. And that was lovely. I really loved it. So we're going to do more of those. We've got one in Monmouth and we've got one in Chirk. Yeah. And we will probably plan more of those because that makes me happy. If I can be doing these things while moving, that's great. And talking to lots of different people.
But how do you share yourself out with 50 people who've come to see you?
You move through the group. I mean, that's not easy, and there will be some people I didn't get to talk to, and some I probably talked to for too long. But yes, you kind of then have to have someone help you.
Yeah,
And say,
it's a
move that way.
fantastic idea, though.
It was great.
Fantastic.
I mean, honestly, it really was. It worked so well, and it felt lovely, and it was really joyful, and that's what I want. Yeah, I would like to do more of that, and I love ramblings, and I love people who love ramblings, because people who love ramblings are good people.
Claire's been doing ramblings on Radio 4 since 1872.
Yes, I have. 25 years I've done ramblings.
It's amazing. It must be apart from In Our Time, it must be one of the longest running programmes there.
No, they've got quite a lot of long-running programmes.
Well, no, but aside from the news ones.
Yeah, and the Archers, obviously.
Oh,
they've got quite a lot.
Anyway, let's not talk about the
No,
BBC.
that's what's ready for.
Right, more questions. Let's go to this side of the room. So, I think it's a gentleman with a blue jumper on. Yep, there we go.
I love that you love people who love ramblings. I feel honoured. The question was, how do you decide or choose where you ramble?
So Karen Gregor, who's my producer, because we've worked together a long time now, we sometimes just go, right, where have we not been? I suddenly got it in my head, I wanted to go to Port Patrick, which is right on the west coast of Dumfries and Galloway, and I wanted to see the sunset at Port Patrick Harbour. I just wanted to. So we found these two guys who were walking the coastline of Britain, and they were old school friends, and they meet up every year to walk for a week. So it's literally the slowest round the UK walk that's ever been done, because they just do a little section every year, and they've been doing it for 40 years. Port Patrick was lovely. So sometimes it's that. Sometimes people come to us. So Charlie Mackesy, as in the author Charlie Mackesy, wants to do a ramblings. So great, I want to walk with him, and we'll walk wherever he would like to. And because the programme's been going such a long time, we get so many people writing in saying, come and walk with our group. A brilliant woman last year who was celebrating her 60th birthday by having 60 different walks with different people. And she wrote in, and we thought, that sounds terrific. So we went and walked with her in the Pentland Hills with a bunch of her friends. And then I kept saying to Karen, I'd really like to do the Camino de Santiago. And I thought in my head when I said that, there's just like one Camino. There aren't. There are like 25 different Caminos. So we went and did 5 different routes with different people, based ourselves in Santiago, and went out every day to join people coming in on the English route or the Portuguese route or the Sanabres route or the French route, whatever. And then you meet people. I so want to go and do one of the big, long, chunky ones. I think Sanabres, I'll do first, and then I might go back and do the Portuguese route. Anyway, so there are some times that we drive it, either her or me want to go somewhere, and others when people have written in and it's a good story and a good location. And then we look at the map and go, gosh, we haven't been to East Anglia for quite a long time, which is still true, we haven't. So we need to fill that gap in. Or we can't go back there because we literally went last year.
Would you like to be on Ramblings with Claire?
Of course, we'd love to, but I bet everybody in this room would love to.
Where would your walk take you?
It would be in the Low Weald in Kent.
Lovely.
Which a much sort of missed area. Everybody goes to the High Weald or North Downs. The Low Weald is really beautiful. So come sometime.
Yeah, I had a really nice. There's a route that they sort of rediscovered in Kent. It's got a funny name. It's like the old coastline walk, but because of reclaimed land, it's much more inland than coastal on a lot of it.
It's called the Saxon Way.
Oh well, that'll be it then. There we go. The Saxon Way. That's what it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a beautiful learning curve for us all. Right, on this side of the room, down at the front. So we'll go to the lady in the striped T-shirt.
Right in the front row here.
Yep, and then we'll come to the gentleman just behind.
Thank you.
It's on.
Yeah.
Hi, I was wondering what's your thought process for writing a book? Do you get writer's block? Where do you get ideas from? Because I am a writer myself, and sometimes I do get writer's block.
Yes, there were moments, and as I said, I was struggling with Alex for a while. And I'd sit there and go, okay, you're not allowed a bit of fudge until you've written 800 words. And I really like fudge, so that was my kind of bribe to myself. And then I couldn't, if I was struggling and couldn't, some days it flows, right? And you're just on it and you've got it. Other days, it's not working. So I would go for a walk, quite a long walk, and then almost just let my brain go somewhere else completely. And it's sort of passive thinking time. And just suddenly you go, oh, that's what it is. And then get that quick, really quick, before you've forgotten the good idea. The annoying thing was every night, literally every night, just as I was about to fall asleep, I'd have a brilliant idea. And I'd think, oh, I'll remember that in the morning. That's great. I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. Oh, yeah, she needs to do this. And I wouldn't write it down. And I didn't record it either. So now I need to keep a dictaphone next to the bed because that's the quickest way of doing it, really. And I wake up in the morning, couldn't remember it. Gee, it's so annoying. So, yeah, there are a lot of lost ideas that are sitting on my pillow.
Gentleman just behind.
I was just thinking that if I was your agent, I would be talking to you about putting out stories very much in the sports field. Given your experience as a woman and what you've seen and the personalities that you've come across, I would have thought you've got a new chapter opportunity in that.
Yes, I think you're right. But if I want to keep my job in sport, I think to to really make it what I'd want to write, I may have to.
I thought it might be a pseudonym. I thought you could.
I could do like a Robert Galbraith kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a nice thought, actually. I could call myself Gary Lineker, and then I could just... and then write what I want. It'd be brilliant.
Are there some quite, entertaining behind the scenes?
Well, and indeed in the world of television. I mean,
oh my gosh, yes, well, yeah.
Yes, well, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think they're entertaining, they're just disturbing, Claire.
They are.
Most of the time. Yeah.
There's a character in this, an ex-footballer, actually, and he's pretty awful. And he was behaving in a really not very nice way. And Lynn said to me, I'm slightly worried that this reads a bit like a caricature. And then Craig Wallace got done. It's real. People do behave like this.
Yeah. Men never fail to disappoint us. Right, any more questions? Any more questions? Can we just go right down to the front here?
Hi, Claire. You've mentioned this a few times. I've seen you write about it. I think you've mentioned it on Desert Island Discs, things like that. But your unique relationship with the late Queen, you talked about anniversaries. Coming to your house, this is so surreal. Can you touch upon a little bit about
Well, my
this?
dad trained racehorses for the Queen and for the Queen Mother, actually. So it's so weird, isn't it? Because these things happen in, to me it wasn't, I mean, okay, I get it, it is quite surreal. But when my brother then trained for the Queen, and when his kids were little, the Queen came, saw her horses, was there at tea time. She used to come in the mornings when we were young, but as life went on, tea time was more suitable. And Flora, my niece, the one I was talking about, is 14 now, so she was about 4 when she first met the Queen, and she just stared at her and she went, but where's your crown? And that, because she had whereas I didn't really have a thought of what I thought the Queen would look like, because I was getting quite young when I first met her, and I just thought, that's another owner. That's another person come to see their horses. And she'd given us a Shetland pony. When I was born, she gave us a Shetland pony who I learned to ride on. So she used to come and see her racehorses, and they'd all be lined up, all looking beautiful, and, skin like mahogany, like satin, just beautiful. And then there'd be this little short, fat, dumpy, hairy Shetland pony at the end. She goes, there's Valkyrie, how is she? But yes, it was weird then to work on, I present Trooping the Colour now and commentate on it, and I commentated on the King's coronation, on the procession back from Westminster, go both to Westminster Abbey and back again. And so it's interesting being in that field, and that's a very different way of absorbing information and then being able to know enough but not show all your work, because otherwise that's just really boring to listen to, and still be able to watch the screen and commentate on what you're seeing. But actually knowing a little bit behind the scenes is really helpful, really helpful. I do remember at the Queen's 90th birthday celebrations, Peter Phillips's company were organising this pageant down the Mall, and they wanted me to host it. So I wasn't working for television, I was working for the event. And it was the only time the Queen gave a speech in that whole run of birthday events. And so she came up the steps onto a dais like this, and I was terrified she was going to fall up the steps, thinking, what do I do if that happens? She won't, it's fine. So she comes up the steps, she looks at me, she went, really, Claire, you're here. So that was fun, just things that are funny that you kind of go, that's odd. But the king had a party after the coronation and things, a party to thank everyone who'd worked on it, and he came over and I was standing with a whole group of, like, a real assortment of people, not telly people. I was standing with, somebody who'd done the flowers, somebody else who'd made some material for something. Anyway, we're all standing together having different conversations, and Scott's a bagpiper as well I was talking to. King comes over. He said, what did you do then? What did you do at the coronation? And I said, oh, sir, you know the procession? Yes, couldn't see it. It was all happening in front of me. I said, well, that procession, we showed it on television, and I commentated on it. Yes. I said, but he said, yes, I watched it back on iPlayer. I said, well, did you listen to it? No, I didn't listen to it.
I'm so sorry.
I know. Crushed.
What shade has been thrown over you?
I know.
Terrible.
I was really proud of that.
Right, we only have 3 minutes and 53 seconds left. So urgent questions are coming in from...
Oh, yes.
Okay. So gentleman with the glasses just there.
Yeah, I was just wondering how much time you have to commit to filming the Gogglebox. And do you enjoy having a set of cameras in your home?
Well, it's all quite fun, that. So they asked me to do it, and I think they wanted me to do it with a celebrity friend, showmance. And I was like, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it with the person I watch television with in my own house on our sofa. So we do film that at home, which most people don't. Yes, I know, on set, no. Anyway, so Giles does. Giles is at his house. I've been there, But they are really quick at putting the cameras in. Eric the cat doesn't like it. He hides, but we put the cats away. They set it all up and they bring in a screen, which is smaller than that. And it's preloaded with clips, and that's when we know what we've got to see. So we don't know until that point. And then we've got, they clear out the crew. They're not in the room with us, so they've set up all the cameras, and everything's remote. And actually, because we first did it in COVID, they were doing it from a van outside our house and not being in the house. So they'd rig it all up, and then everyone would leave. Now the producers actually sat in the hall. But they shout through occasionally and say, "Can you just say that again?" Or just occasionally, but generally speaking, it is as we would be watching the telly at home, and therefore Alice is much funnier than I am and much cleverer, and that's the way it is. And honestly, all the time, coming through an airport the other day, I really love you and your wife on Gogglebox. She's very funny, isn't she? She is, yeah.
Right, one final question. Who wants it? Who wants it? Who wants it? I'm going to go to the lady right at the back there. Yep, there you go.
Oh, sorry, that came rather quick. Good evening. Thank you very much for an interesting talk. You talk about the paradox between being in the country and being in the city. Which box would you put yourself in?
Yes, that's interesting.
If you could live in any other city or any other part of the countryside?
If I was going to pick any other city, Melbourne, Australia. It's quite a long way, I know. But what a great city that is. If I was going to pick... I've got a real thing about Northumberland. I love Northumberland. It is so undiscovered. And
Don't tell anyone.
Hey?
Don't tell anyone.
Are you from Northumberland?
We were at Newcastle University.
Oh,
so
well, geez, you've got the best walking all up that coastline. I mean, I just think it's stunning, and that feeling of space and scale and all those terrific castles. I mean, yeah. No, I would love, and this would be a good book concept, actually. And I might have said, generally speaking, when I have too much to drink, I go off on this thing about how I want to live with all my mates in a big old stately home, and we'd all have a different wing of it, and we'd therefore have this big. Do you do that as well? You're nodding. Yes, like a posh commune, as it were. But therefore we could all look after each other's dogs, and we could have like trips out, and we could all share the care. And the gardener, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, and that would be in Northumberland or Melbourne.
Yes, Northumberland obviously would be a bit easier, probably.
Yeah. Well, we're all invited, so that's
there we go. We're all living in that house.
Yep, yeah, courtesy of Claire. How generous of her.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have run out of time, but thank you for being a very lovely audience. Thank you for being very engaged. I would give Claire's book a hard recommend. I think, as I said right at the beginning, it's just a lovely place to go to. You're in safe hands with a very good writer who's telling a really lovely story. So Claire's hanging around. She's going to do some signing. I will say goodnight, and thank you very much indeed for coming this evening.
Thank you.